What if there was a lucid dreaming technique that was easy, you could start doing it right now, would give you many more lucid dreams, but also improves your life? I know it sounds almost too good to be true, but today's technique is a brand new lucid dreaming technique that's never been shared anywhere before, and it's ridiculously effective. Reality blindness. So here's something you've probably noticed, but maybe not given much thought. Have you noticed how some people are happy, some people are sad, some people are confident, some people are anxious? They seem to be caught in loops, what we tend to call personalities, but maybe there's more to it than that. And I'm not talking about fleeting states of mind, I'm talking about patterns that people fall into. So your friend Dave might be very confident and lucky and has seemed to be that way his whole life. Whereas your friend Steve is anxious, gets nervous at parties, and has also always been like that. Why are Dave and Steve so very different? Why is it that Dave has all the luck, but Steve is unlucky and unconfident? Is it genetics? Is it fate? What on earth is going on? And when you look at yourself, you'll see similar kinds of patterns. So when I look at my own life, I used to consider myself a shy person until I investigated why. And weirdly, the answer to that why is exactly the same reason why you're not having lucid dreams. The psychology of limits. So, if you study psychology for long enough, there's a bit of a depressing pattern. We humans are incredibly good at convincing ourselves that we're trapped. We pick up assumptions and habits from our youth and just assume that's the way things are. It's called learned helplessness. Basically, because you failed before, you just stop trying. The history of psychology is pretty dark, with some pretty messed up experiments. And one such messed up experiment was with dogs. They kept dogs in a pen, and every time they tried to escape, they would get an electric shock. Eventually, the electric shocks were turned off, and the pen was left wide open. But the dogs had just resigned themselves to being trapped. They'd forgotten to even check whether freedom was available. And before you get too smug and think, oh, well, that's just dogs, we do the same kind of thing every day, whether it's with job opportunities, relationships, or even happiness. If we've failed enough times before, we stop even trying. And the truth is, even though, of course, there are real world limitations to what you can achieve, many of your barriers are psychological, they're imagined, they're not really there. They have no more substance than a wall in your dreams, and just like walls in your dreams, you can pass right through them. The secret of agency. It's pretty weird, but we tend to mistake familiarity for truth. If you've grown up in a poor neighborhood, then being poor seems to be normal. You consider it true, it's what you are, until eventually you stop thinking that there's any other possibility. And it's one of the weirder quirks of human psychology. Your mind constantly edits to fit its expectations. So if you believe you can't do something, your mind will quietly rearrange reality so that you don't even bother trying. It's very effective, but it's total self-sabotage. And it's the exact same mechanism that stops you having lucid dreams and is fundamental to controlling your dreams. So here's a thought. What is a dream? A dream is essentially a narrative you've become trapped by. In a dream, you believe exactly what's happening to you, and you have certain options you can take. It's not until you realize that you're dreaming that you realize that the narrative and the options were a complete illusion, and you actually have limitless freedom, or what we like to call a lucid dream. The hidden question in every moment. Right, so let's change pace for a moment, and I'm going to do some real talk. So, I did used to think that I was shy and I would go to parties or social events and be the little quivering wallflower. And when I looked at people, I assumed they were being judgmental, all of that kind of thing. And that pattern just stuck with me. I got caught in that narrative, that dream I carried with me throughout my life. And it became a self enforcing storyline. Because it happened enough times, I started to tell myself, well, I'm shy. That's the kind of person I am. So when I would go to a new party or new social event, even though I had many options in front of me, I would fall into this very familiar pattern. I didn't realize I was carrying around a dream, an illusion, a falsehood. I mistook that for truth. So when there was the attractive person over there that I wanted to talk to, my mind had already decided that was impossible. I wouldn't even bother. Confidence was something that other people had. I didn't have it. I was trapped in this prison of my own making. Is this sounding familiar? Are lucid dreams something that happen to other people, or do they happen to you? Have you told yourself the narrative that lucid dreaming isn't for you, it's for other people? And how often do you audit or question your narratives? Do you take time to stop and think, hold on, am I actually shy, or is that just something that I've decided? Have I limited my options? What are my real options? Because that's the trick, and that's how I stopped being shy, because I questioned the narrative. I became lucid in that dream. Always lucid. Lucid dreaming isn't some special altered state of consciousness that you have to work really hard to get to. What it really is an option you didn't realize you had. It's really no more than that. When you're in a non lucid dream, you are trapped by your own assumptions. You don't realize that there is this big, broad expanse of possibilities ahead of you. So, how do you cultivate that realization? How do you break out of the prison of your mind? Well, it's quite easy. You start doing that all the time. Before we go any further, just a quick one. I have to say thank you to my channel benefactors, the highest level of membership here on the channel. Today's channel benefactor is Dream Leak. Thank you for keeping the lights on, and if you want to become a channel benefactor, click on the join button down below. The technique. So now you understand that there are a bunch of dreams, illusions that you carry with you day after day, night after night, but how do you break out of them? Well, it's very simple. You can use this new technique, which I call the freedom reflection, to open your mind and access lucidity. Step 1. Pause and reflect. So this is super easy, but from now on, as you go about your day, I want you to develop a habit of reflection. So whenever you start something new, whenever you're entering a new space, or just whenever it pops to mind, just take a moment to step back and reflect on your situation. Step 2. Assess your options. Now, this is the absolute key to this entire technique. It's the very same thing that stopped me being shy all those years ago and will give you many more lucid dreams. Whatever you're doing, when you're having that moment of reflection, take a moment to ask yourself, what are my options right now? My real options? What are my genuine limits? And the point here is to challenge your assumptions, to not default to your basic beliefs and expectations about the world. So, for example, right now, I'm making a video, and if I ask myself, what are my options? My mind defaults to continue the video or possibly go have a cup of tea and a break. But if I really reflect on that for a while, other things will start to crop up in my mind, such as, well, is this even real? Could this be a dream? And if that is the case, what are my options? So the point here is self reflection, metacognition on what this moment in time truly offers. And in order to do that correctly and honestly, you need to ask a whole bunch of other questions, such as, could this be a dream? Because you can't assess your options unless you understand your reality. And if you're smart, you're probably noticing something here. This is very similar to reality checks, only it's broader and more useful and has the same outcome. What you're essentially doing is pulling apart whichever narrative you're constrained by right now. There will normally be many, many narratives running in tandem, but taking the time to just check whether you have true freedom from your narratives or whether they control you gives you a moment of lucidity, regardless of whether you're dreaming or awake. Step 3, make this part of who you are. This isn't really a technique, it's a new way of thinking. It's freedom from narratives, freedom from expectation. Those things naturally lend themselves to lucid dreams, lucid thinking, and a better, freer life.